Hiya guys, today I'd like to share with you my recipe for a classic Victoria sandwich cake, and here's the things I've used, but I'll explain the ingredients and the recipe as I go along. Recently I've had so many tips, recipes and requests from subscribers, it's fantastic, and I thought I'll try and make these as I go along and see how many of them I can actually do. So here's my first one. And thank you Roger for suggesting such a lovely cake. I use a time-honoured 6-6-6-3 recipe. That's 6 ounces of flour, 6 ounces of butter, 6 ounces of caster sugar and 3 large eggs. And this recipe has never failed me. These days I employ the all-in-one method. It's quick, takes about 5 minutes to make, and it's simple and straightforward. Everything goes in your bowl, and the trick is to really mix it very well. Place your mixing bowl on your weighing scale and then zero or tare the scale. Here in the UK I use self-raising flour, which already has the raising agent added. I just like to add an extra teaspoonful just to give it that little extra rise. If you're using all-purpose flour or plain flour, the amount of raising agent you need for a cake will be listed on the packet usually, so I'd refer to that. Sifting the flour and baking powder together does ensure even distribution, and it adds a lot of air to the mix, which helps with the rise. Then add the eggs. One at a time is best, and that way you just get that opportunity to check that the egg is fresh before you put it in your cake mix. Now's when you give it a thorough beating and mix up. Do not underbeat. A tiny drop of water at this stage can just bring it to perfection if needed, but you have to judge by eye whether the mixture just needs that tiny bit of loosening up. And that's your mixture done. I've put a tiny circle of baking parchment in the bottom of these 2 silicone tins, and this just helps when you actually come to lifting it out. It's a lot easier, just loosen the sides and you're able to tip it out because the paper stops it sticking in the bottom. Much as silicone is not meant to stick, it just makes life easier. Having filled both tins equally and smoothed out the top so that it lies flat and even, it's time to bake them in the oven, centre shelf. I bake around 160 degrees centigrade or equivalent, depending of course on your oven type, for about 20 minutes or so until they come out golden and firm to the touch in the middle. You can buy quite cheaply a cake skewer that you just stab into the middle, and if it comes clean away with no mixture stuck to the side, your cake is cooked. Now that the cakes are out of the oven and cooled on a wire rack until fully cool, it's time to add the buttercream. You can buy or make your own frosting. I make mine, and I make a buttercream, and I do this by putting a small amount of butter in a bowl and adding icing sugar and a little vanilla essence until I have the thickness that I want and the consistency I need to use. And I also keep it in little portions in bags in the freezer and just get one out when I make a cake. And this is a very useful tip. That way you only mix in once and you have it on hand when you need it. Next I add the jam, and you need a really good quality jam. And what I do is I put it into a bowl and I mix it up with a spoon, and you'll see the difference in the consistency from when the jam goes into the bowl to when it's applied to the cake. And this makes life very simple when it spreads so readily. And then you just put the lid on, and then you want to dust with icing sugar. And a shaker for this is easiest, but you can just use a sieve. And there it is, a classic Victoria sandwich cake. The next bit is the best bit. Cup of coffee on hand and cut into this delicious fresh cake. and enjoy a lovely piece for your hard work. As you can see, it cuts really well and the texture is just lovely. As we share in this moment, it's worth noting that this cake is dairy free, it's vegetarian, and it cost me under £1.50 or around under $2 to make in ingredients, and it would serve at least 6 or 8 people really. I like to think that the quality shines through and there are no chemicals, preservatives or things with names you can't pronounce or read in this homemade product, and that for me is quality. Well, cake in hand, I'd like to thank you for watching and I'd love to hear from you if you do make one.